We will do some cloud recording then. All right. Well, welcome everyone to day 2 of APAC Appreciation Week. I'm happy that you are all here. This looks like a great turnout, and am beyond thrilled to introduce our speaker for today, Collin Henderson, who is the founder and CEO of Master Your Mindset LLC, a leader in the field of mental conditioning. Collin left his corporate role as a #1 ranked medical sales professional and national sales trainer to now be considered by many, including acclaimed broadcaster Jim Rome, one of the best mindset coaches in the industry. Collin has written 7 books and 2 journals, and his Master Your Mindset podcast have hundreds of thousands of downloads worldwide. Collin has personally trained #1 draft picks, Heisman Trophy finalists, NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL athletes, and corporate executives looking to get that mental edge. Collin's innovative trainings on mindset, culture, and sales psychology have been utilized by some of the world's best organizations, including Nike, Zillow, LA Dodgers, Lululemon, Anaheim Ducks, Microsoft, Salesforce, Alaska Airlines, FedEx, and Amazon. Collin teaches his mindset curriculum with college teams and school districts across the country. Collin is also the director of mental conditioning with the UCLA women's basketball program and is a regular mental performance contributor to Russell Wilson's groundbreaking company, Limitless Minds, who provides elite mindset training to the nation's top corporations. With that, we're going to kick it off over to Collin, who I believe has an activity for us to start with.
Could we give Spencer some love? Like, that was a lot of, we got to shrink that intro. Sorry about that. That was pretty impressive. But happy AP Appreciation Week, team. I'm so grateful. I keep hearing a song in my head. I'm coming home. I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming home. Hey, I'm amongst Cougs. And that feels so good because I travel a lot. And when I see a Coug shirt in the airport, I'm yelling, "Go Cougs." I hear it back to me. So I want to say, I'm grateful for this opportunity to have this time to collaborate, but just to give you some love. I mean, y'all are the backbone of this amazing campus. So thank you for what you do. And so think of me as a strength coach, but for your brain. And just like any strength coach, they would probably give you a mental or a physical warm-up to get your body activated. So let's do a mental warm-up. And I'm so pumped to see some people with their cameras on. Let's go. Let's try to make this as inclusive, as engaging, but let's do an activity. So what I want you to do, my goal for this is to have the most fun 60 minutes you can have on a Zoom. Let's go. Let's make learning fun. I mean, it's all about giving you some love and having some time to appreciate and acknowledge the work you do, but let's live in community, Cougs. When I think of Cougs, I think of family. So love to see your beautiful face, what you're doing. We talked about where you logging in from, what's your favorite spot to eat, but I just want to start with gratitude. And here's a challenge. I did this with Anna on the little prep call. I did this mental challenge for her and she killed it. So I want everybody to go get a cell phone charger. Now make sure that the plug is at the bottom. If it's just the USB, it's not going to work. There needs to be weight. And if you don't have a cell phone charger, you can use your AirPods. Anna used her laptop charger, but there needs to be like a string that has some weight. Okay. Again, think of this session today. This is like going to the gym, but the mind gym. We can't get stronger physically unless we actually do the work. We can't get stronger mentally, emotionally, build these resilience skills unless we actually do the work. So this 60 minutes is going to be engaging. It's going to be collaborative. We're going to be thinking, processing, using the chat feature, coming off the mute, supporting each other. And I love this thought. The mind's like a parachute, only works if it's open. So my ask is that we have an open mind today and we get engaged. Yeah, let's go. Okay, so got our cell phone charger. All right, now here's what we're going to do. Again, make sure there's weight. If you don't have the plug, put your AirPods in it, tie it onto something. There has to be weight for this thing to work. Okay, so hold it about 10 inches from the bottom. Kind of eye it up, measure it, 10 to 12 inches. Hold the string with your thumb and your finger. The cord. Okay, now I'm just going to warn you, this is going to be a little bit of a shoulder workout, but we can do it. All right, so hold that charge or that weight at the bottom of your nose. Have the height at the bottom of your nose. Now, looking at that charger, not using your thumb, your hand, your finger, using your mind, your thoughts, your vision. I want you to see it move front to back. Just using your brain, visualize it. Just even say out loud or in your mind, front to back. Now, visualize it moving left to right. See it move left to right. Even say left to right, left to right. Now see it move in a circle. Again, just using your thoughts. See it move in a circle. Even say out loud, circle, circle. Now, command it to be still with your thoughts. Command it to be still. We're not using our hand or our fingers. We're using our brain. Command it to be still. Now, rest your shoulder. Hey, I'm a kind coach. How many people's shoulder like, when will you stop? My shoulder is burning. Let's go, bro. Okay. Now, put it back up. Now, you're in control. You're in charge. You can move that thing with your mind however you want. You can move in your mind front to back or left to right. I want to prove to you how powerful you are, how powerful your brain is, how powerful your thoughts are. Okay, good job, Cougs. Put it down. Who is able to move that object with your brain? Anybody? Few people? Deborah, I see, raise your hand. Tony, nice.
It worked just like you said. Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Okay, so what I want you to write down today, again, this workshop is about you, giving you the tools you need to be the best Coug you can be, best person you can be. Is in this workshop, it's going to be very active. And one of my favorite truths in learning is don't just think it, ink it. So let's get your note-taking device ready to go. Get your notepad, your pen, paper. If you like to use a tablet, electronic, all good. But I want you to write down TBT, Cougs. I feel so happy I can say the word Cougs as just to describe the audience. This makes me, you don't understand how happy I am. I just bleed crimson gray. So this is so good. So Cougs, when I say TBT, what are you thinking? What does that acronym mean?
Throwback Thursday.
That's what most people say. shout out to Sumner, Washington. But like that's what most people kind of say. But today's mental workout, we're gonna master this truth. Thoughts become things. Thoughts become things. How is that possible? But just by thinking, you were able to move an object in command on what you wanted. Are you aware of how powerful this 6 inches is between your ears? This 3-pound mass is the most powerful tool you have. And most of us are not optimizing this power because in school, they teach us what to think. They don't teach us how to think. And there are 3 things you can train as a human being: your body, your craft, and your mind. Your body, your craft, and your mind. Most athletes just train their body. Most business people just train their craft, your job description, what the marketplace, the competition, what your role is. How many of you are proactively training your mind to optimize yourself, to be authentic, to be courageous, to be present, to have resilience, to have empathy, to have just this curiosity, creativity? Like all these skills I'm saying can be trained. Just like muscle groups, glutes, traps, biceps. We have mental muscle groups that we're not even touching. Probably because you don't have a coach. So I'm so pumped to be your mindset coach today. So I'm going to share my slides. Are we ready to go, Cougs? Like, let me know you're ready to go. Let me know somehow. Show me in the chat. Come off of mute. Let me know you're ready to go. You're grateful. You're engaged. We're together. We're connected. We're loving, growing together. Let's do it. All right. So it's time to share slides. And shout out to Spencer and Anna for behind the scenes making this work. Tatum, could we give her some love too for kind of initiating this? Let's just give love to people who made this happen. So much love for this group. So let's get the chat feature ready. Is your chat feature ready to go? Is your screen on? Hopefully. Okay, so again, this is going to be the fastest 50 minutes of any Zoom ever had. It's going to be hopefully be the most fun. All right. So today's topic is mental toughness. All right. So my goal as your mindset coach who loves you, who cares about you, who appreciates you, it's AP Appreciation Week, APAC in the house, get some, let's go. You're made for this, you're built for this. But we need a coach and a community. Everybody needs 2 things, a coach and a community. So with this session, I want to elevate those two things, but I want to train your brain to be limitless. Why? The body has limits, but the mind is limitless. I'll say that again. The body has limits, but the mind's limitless. And if there's one person that's going to change the world, it's probably a Coug. Like, why not this group? Why shouldn't this group change the world? Someone from this group right here, I'm just going to just prophetically say, someone in this group is going to change the world. Not because of talent, not because of skill, but because of their mind, their belief, servant leadership, inclusion, changing the game. Because our limits begin where our vision ends. Our limits begin where our vision ends. So my goal is to give you the tool strategies just to awaken this like unstoppable force inside of you. It's there. It's in there somewhere. I know it's there. And you have probably glimpses where you feel it, but it gets dormant. It creates atrophy because we get in the cycle of Instagram and Twitter and negative news and emails and negative people and things all around you. It's suppressing your greatness. But I know you have it. So today, I'll just break down kind of my background, define what it means to be mentally tough, why we train our mind, and I'm going to give you kind of 2 mental muscle groups to build mental toughness. Sound good? And just know this truth: fear kills more dreams than failure ever will. So real quick about me, Collin Henderson from Puyallup. We were in Issaquah for a while, now in Nashville. We have 5 kids. Look at those 5 Cougs over there in the upper left. I mean, we dress our kids in Coug swag, even in Nashville. Written 7 books, 2 journals, played football and baseball in the Cougs, in the Coug land. Like my last year competing was 2004. Trained some great companies. I'm also an ambassador, a legacy ambassador for Lululemon. And who got some clarity during COVID? Did anybody get some like life just like crystal clear, like what's important, values, and maybe like a life motto? Well, come out of COVID, I had just so much clarity on what's most important, how I show up. And this is going to be on my gravestone. This is one of my core beliefs. If it doesn't stretch, I don't wear it. I'm just saying, Cougs, I'm just saying, if it doesn't stretch, I'm not going to put it on my body. So, hey, everything high performance, So, hey, I mentioned I love pizza. I love John Mayer. I love Ted Lasso. Where are my Ted Lasso people at? We're on season 3, people. We're on season 3. #believe. Can I get some love in the chat? Where are my Ted Lasso peeps at? No? Well, go on Apple TV, Apple Plus, and check it out. Talk about having some systems and good models of like positivity and service and growth. Okay. Kylie or anybody else in on this deal. Ted Lasso's coaching one of his players. Who's the happiest animal in the animal kingdom? Where is Tony Thompson? Give Tony some love. I love Tony and the whole Thompson family. Tony is the Ted Lasso of the Palouse. Okay. But what does Ted Lasso teach about who's the happiest animal in the animal kingdom? The answer is a goldfish. Cougs, why is the goldfish the happiest animal in the animal kingdom? Because the goldfish has a 10-second memory. The goldfish is always present. So how many of you take a conversation or something that made you frustrated and that spills into your entire day? Yes or no? How many has that happened to us? You have a bad interaction, a supervisor, a colleague, it's just negative or overwhelming, and it just seeps into your mindset and it flows into your thoughts and behaviors, and it's just like you're in this rut. Well, if you're a goldfish, you are completely present. You forget the mistake, but you remember the lesson. What's the next right step? What's important now? So let's start to train our brain to be right here, to be present. Shame is in the past. Fear is in the future. Peak performance, joy, creativity, bliss, authenticity, impact is in the present moment. So every time you're not present, you miss an opportunity to see and feel abundance and love. This may seem kind of big and woo-woo, but you have the power of free will. You get to notice, where are my thoughts? Am I here? Everybody put your feet firmly on the ground. Feel the contact of the floor under your feet. Your mind can be in one of 3 places: the past, where you're reliving, the future, you're pre-living, or the present, where you're actually living. So look down at your feet, Cougs. Look down at your feet and say, hey, I commit to be where my feet are. I'm going to be right here. Your body is here, but is your mind here? I'll ask you again. Your body is here. Is your mind here? So just like driving on the freeway, you have those lines where you drive, it gives you direction. When you go off track, off a boom, those ridges wake you up and get back to the present moment, back on the path. You have the power to notice, where's my focus? Oh, it's not here. It's okay. Don't judge. Don't critique. Be a goldfish. Back in the present moment. Sound good, Cougs? All right. So this is more of my story, though, Cougs. This is more of my story. So I like to open with this visual. I think this is a great metaphor. So there's what I call an outer game and an inner game. The outer game is what we can see. If you're in fundraising, if you're at the rec center, how many students are enrolling? I mean, all these different things. Raising scholarship money, tuition, all this stuff, like wins and losses, rankings. That's like 10, 15%. What people don't see and what we don't talk about is the inner game. It's probably like 80 to 85, 90% what's actually happening, what influences how we perform. And this is a great visual for how I live my life. When I was on campus at WSU, people saw Collin, starter in 2 sports, was an academic All-American, captain, had a lot of friends, a good student. But what I hid was just crippling anxiety. I tell people now, hey, I'm a recovering perfectionist. Anybody out there? And I had this unhealthy attachment to my worth tied to performance. If I had success, I felt worthy. If I failed, I felt worthless. And done a lot of therapy. I've learned terms like codependency, people pleasing. Have you ever heard those terms before, where you're seeking love from within by what you think other people think, or by achieving, or by doing, and that's just an exhausting race. And no one knew this. I hid this at all costs. And in my early 30s, was doing like a checkup with my physician. My blood pressure is in the high 150s for like 2 or 3 years. Was taking medicine. My escape would be to go watch movies in the middle of the workday. My escape would be just to numb myself from reality, which is to escape and go to a different world and watch, matinees, sometimes back-to-back matinees, just to numb myself. But I know this to be true, Cougs. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. When I was kind of rock bottom, I got a glimpse of hope. I changed companies. And in that moment, I was exposed to a sales coach named Frankie Pretzel. He's really a mindset coach. He taught me these things. Collin, sales psychology beats sales strategy. Thoughts become things. Like attracts like. Any energy flows where focus goes. What you resist persists. I'm like, Frankie Pretzel, what language do you speak of? What are you talking about? Remember, there are 3 things we can train: body, craft, mind. All of my professional experience was all craft. How to sell to doctors and physicians. How about your onboarding and your experience on campus, or, of different campuses remotely across the country? Is it all about your job description, what your role is? Most of us spend all of our time studying other people. We don't study ourselves. So you start to conform to the patterns of this world. What he taught me is to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Here's books on the power of thought, on what happens when you visualize, self-talk, self-awareness, mindfulness, being present, having values, how habits are formed, how to create standards, how to act different than you feel, because we don't always feel confident, we don't always feel motivated. So how do you move when you don't feel confident? Well, learn. So I had a coach, and I had, some guideposts, some structure. And I want you to write down this word prehab. Prehab. In the mental space, it's usually about rehab. And I'm all about therapy and counseling. I have the best therapist in the world. But I also have a coach. Coach is proactive work. You don't need to be sick to get better. Does that make sense? We shouldn't just wait for problems to invest in ourselves. We should have some systems where we proactively train present moment focus, authenticity, empathy, creativity, courage. Who's taught you how to deal with fear? Who's taught you how to really love yourself? Who's taught you how to believe in yourself? Schools don't teach us this, but it's vital. And when I started doing the work, I saw everything change. I was healthier, happier, more engaged, more present. And guess what happened? My performance was through the roof. it was like, I'm on a mission now to normalize mindset training. I'm on a mission. I'm just sharing the good news. This is free to everybody. This actually doesn't cost money. There's podcasts, books. What's your entertainment to education ratio? But there's so much data and information out there. What do I do? All right. So a truth I want you to take on is this. In this digital age, being able to quiet your mind is the new currency of success. I'll say that again. In this digital, instant gratification, instant access, being able to quiet your mind is the new currency of success. What do you do to prehab, to mental condition, to love yourself, to work on yourself, not just your body, not just your craft, your skills, but your mind? So here's a great question from psychologist from Harvard, Dr. Susan David, a great book she wrote called Emotional Agility. Who's in charge, the thinker or the thought? Let me just sip on my In-N-Out in California. I mean, I'm not rubbing it in or anything. Who's in charge, the thinker or the thought? And looking at the chat, Jacob, I have read the inner game of tennis, written in the 70s by Tim Galway, classic in the mental game. And I have a book list I'll share with you guys a little bit. Okay, who wave at me if you think the thought wins. Wave at me. Thought wins. Okay. Wave at me if you think the thinker wins. I see you, Julie. Well, here's the way I teach it. If you have a dog, what's your dog's name? Little cute pooch. Dogs are a great model of being in the present moment. Would you agree? Well, when you're taking your dog on a walk, who's walking who? You thought about that? That's like your brain, okay? If the mind is untrained, the thought will win. If the mind is trained, the thinker will win. But most of us don't have systems to train our mind. That's why we're here today, okay? All right, so today's topic is mental toughness. I love to teach and just have a common definition of these terms. So how would you define mental toughness? How many times have you heard someone say, we need to be more mentally tough? And it's like, wow, that was an enlightening thought. How do I do that? You know, and it's like this concept in the history of telling someone to calm down, no one's ever calmed down. So we should be discussing strategies and common language and application, not just theory, application. So how I would measure mental toughness is this equation, E plus R equals O, which is short for event plus response equals outcome. How you train and measure your mental toughness is how do you respond when things are not going your way? What the Navy SEALs, they call this your adversity tolerance. How is your adversity tolerance? When things don't go as planned, when you're faced with a roadblock, a bend in the road, how do you respond? Do you go palms up? Everybody go palms up like this with me. Go palms up. Oh, it's not my fault. It's their fault. Why me? You know, is that going to help us? Let's go like this, Cougs. Palms down. Hey, let's go. We can do this. We can find a way through this. But look at this. 100% of outcomes in our life are only 10% events. It's 90% how we choose to respond, like the iceberg example. So how I define mental toughness is how you respond to adversity, challenge, change, and success. Could we agree that sometimes success creates a different set of challenges that creates pressure, expectation, just as much as adversity and change disrupts our patterns, so does success sometimes. And some people fear success. So how do you respond? So would love for us, again, I want to stay, hey, are we engaged, Cougs? Are we staying engaged in the chat? Are we having some fun today? 125. What is today? Tuesday? I don't know what day it is. I'm having some fun. I don't even know what day it is. So will you type in the chat, who's your favorite superhero? Superhero. For me, it's Iron Man. Why? Because look at Tony Stark's superpowers. He's smart and he's rich. I'm just kidding. No, his superpower is he's super intelligent, but he has a way to create and invent. In the first episode of Iron Man, he gets, grabbed away and put in this cave and says, make us this missile or you'll die, this thing's in your chest. In that time of adversity, he created a better version of himself. So that's like a story from Marvel Comics. Adversity is life's golden ticket to take us to a place we could have never gone if we choose to use it the right way. Is that making sense? If we change our perspective on adversity and change, this is a portal to growth with the right mindset. Let's not look at these obstacles as roadblocks. Let's see them as building blocks to invite, how we innovate and get better. I see the Hulk, Batman, Adam West, Silver Surfer, Jacob. That is the underdog coming out. Doctor Strange is great. I love Wonder Woman. Those are great films. Gerald, I don't know that one. Help me out, Melissa. Ant-Man.
Oh my God, Geralt of Rivia? Seriously?
I need help. Coach me up. There's a lot of things I don't know. Okay, let's
Super
just keep
nerdy. The Witcher.
Okay, I need help. Maybe send me the link. Okay. Does anybody know who this entertainer is, just to the right of Iron Man? Good job, Olivia. Tori Kelly. That's Tori Kelly. Again, we're talking about resilience. Now, there's what I call capital R resilience and lowercase r resilience. So capital is like macro, long-term. The small case R is like in the moment resilience. So what Tony Stark was, he was faced with a challenge. In the moment, he responded. What about over the long stretch? Research from Dr. Angela Duckworth at a Penn, she says, I've found the #1 predictor of success. What do you think the #1 predictor of success is? It's not aptitude, IQ, talent, it's grit. How gritty are you? And this is in armed forces, in education, military, in business, in band, music, choir, chess club, drama. It doesn't matter. Sports, it's grit. So Tori Kelly did Star Search as a kid, didn't win. Got signed to a label after that, didn't make an album. Did American Idol in 2010, didn't make it out of Hollywood. It's 2012, and she's like, man, I want to be an entertainer. I want to be a musician. I want to create albums. I want to go on tour. She learned how to play the guitar. She started writing her own music, started to film videos on YouTube. She got founded by Scooter Braun, which at the time still is Justin Bieber's agent. She recorded an album in 2015 to not very much success. She reshifted her sound, her writing, and she made a gospel album. In 2018, she won 2 Grammys for a gospel album. That was a long, winding road to reach your goal, but it's never a straight path. So can you stay in the game and keep showing up? So grit, by definition, is passion meets perseverance. So team, just get up. Keep showing up. Might not feel like it. It's the start that stops most people. So let's build some skills today, okay? We're going to talk about language and courage, all right? Anti-fragile, that's right. We're going to talk about language and courage, okay? So team, what do you see on the screen? Help me out. Obviously, it's a GBAD. Yes. Deborah, great job. Yeah, I see a deer on the left and a seal on the right. Spencer, great look. Yeah, so you see a goat, I see a deer. But it's the same image flipped upside down. Can you see that? So I show this visual to invite the awareness on the power of perspective. What do you see? When you look at yourself in the mirror, you look at your coworkers, you look at the students or the people that you serve in your role in your job, do you see all the problems? Do you see all the flaws? Do you see what we can't do? Do you only relive all the mistakes? Is your future clouded with fear of what you can't do or how hard it is? So for us to have a resilient mindset, to be mentally tough, we need to train our brain to focus on what we can do. We focus on what is possible. See the good traits, not just the bad traits. Here's an example. Can you look around your room? I want you to, how many blue objects can you find, team, in 5-10 seconds? I want you to just challenge yourself, competition. How many blue objects can you see? Ready, set, go. Looking for blue, looking for blue. Okay, stop. Cougs, everyone's eyes shut. Everyone's eyes shut. Good job, Sue. She said, she saw 5. I love it. Eyes shut. During that activity, that challenge, looking for blue objects, how many green objects did you see? Wait, Coach Collin, hold up. You said look for blue. Yeah, you didn't see green because you were looking for blue. That's the power of perspective. This is what psychologists call expectancy theory. What you focus on expands. What you focus on, you will find. So if your vision every morning is lack, scarcity, can't do, too hard, everything stacked against me, I want you to shift your perspective and try. Some days it's hard. And each group has a different set of challenges. I'm aware of that. But if you can focus on what you can do, what is possible, and I believe in you. Let's start there. Okay, so how do we shape perspective? Is we master language. We master language. We master language. So one of the first books I read in the mental space was Positive Intelligence by Shirzad Sharmi. And what the author was explaining is we all have this inner judge, this inner critic. They're kind of, voices and thoughts in and out of your brain. The conscious brain, we say around 6,000 thoughts per day. On the subconscious level, I've read research up to 70,000 thoughts. Who knows what % of human thoughts are negative? This is research from the National Science Foundation. Who wants to come off the mute or put on the chat? What % of human thoughts are negative? Angie says all of them. I mean, sometimes it feels like that. Kylie, 60%, yeah, over half. Jenny, great job. Well, I think Spencer is taking a note from there's a really powerful, clear hint on the screen. The answer is 80%. And 95% of human thoughts are reoccurring. The brain is a worry machine. The brain is designed to survive, not thrive. I'll say that again. The brain, when it's designed, some of the parts of the brain that are developed are the amygdala and the limbic system that's constantly searching for threats and danger. But last I checked, we're not being chased anymore by lions and tigers. So now we've shifted these thoughts of how do I look? What are people thinking? Am I fitting in? Do people think I'm smart? Do people think I'm valuable? Is what I'm saying, is it going to elevate my status socially? So we're now struggling with what Dr. Michael Gervais calls FOPO. I know there's a lot of cougs that have FOMO. I know that for a fact. Going to Valhalla, the coug. I know that for a fact. Cougs have fun. Fear of missing out. But there's this new epidemic called FOPO, fear of other people's opinions. So you want to do that thing. You want to step out of your comfort zone. You want to try something different. You want to follow your passion. You want to wear that thing, but you don't because you want to fit in. That's your critic sabotaging you. That's your inner judge. So the first mental drill, cougs, I want us to start to really master this power of perspective, to be mentally tough, to be resilient, is to start paying attention. The very word mindful means to pay attention. Start to notice and take guard of what I call your thoughtmosphere or your thought life. And what you allow to influence those thoughts. What do you consume? What do you verbalize out loud? What do you read? What do you watch? Is that creating pictures and images that are hurting you? So the brain from birth is conditioned by 3 things, what we see, hear, and experience. Your conditioning since birth is shaped by 3 things, what you see, hear, and experience. But here's the thing we need to know about language and the brain. The brain has a bias for negativity. Velcro, like negativity is like Velcro. It's sticky. It holds on for our preservation. Positivity is like Teflon. It bounces off. So you're going to keep a scoreboard of all your failures. Yes or no? You're going to keep a scoreboard of like hurtful comments when people say things like that, shaping your belief in yourself. So this conditioning is not shaped by positive things. It's shaped by what I call trauma, drama, daddy, and mama. Cougs, I'll say that again. This conditioning is shaped by trauma, drama, daddy, and mama. So it's time to self-heal. pain that is not properly processed gets projected. So you can start practicing self-compassion, self-love. If you can name it, you can tame it. Just write down a common negative thought. Observe it. Don't judge it. Don't beat yourself up. Like, that's interesting. Where did that come from? And you have the power to retrain and challenge your thoughts. A great book by Adam Grant is called Think Again. You can challenge these limiting beliefs and say, is that thought true? Said by who? Quiet that critic. Get off of that negative thought train. How many times you get on those negative thought trains and it just drives you into a negative place? You feel like you can't stop it. We all feel like that. But if you can observe, acknowledge those emotions, acknowledge them, don't hide them, don't bury them. But an emotion will eventually flow back into the ocean. You can step off of that negative thought train and get into a more productive one. There's your critic and creative view. It's like your brain, which wolf do you feed, the negative wolf or the good wolf? You have two wolves in our brain. The wolf that wins is the one that you feed. So how do we feed this wolf? Is we know this truth. The brain thinks in 4 dimensions, Cougs. The brain thinks in 4 dimensions. Okay? Can you write down in your notes, words are tools? Words are tools. Coach Collin, what does that mean, words are tools? Just by saying giraffe. Giraffe, don't think of a giraffe. Don't you do it. Tatum, don't think of a giraffe. Don't you do it. Don't think of a Sumner Spartan. Don't do it. Whatever I said, all I did is say a word, or red elephant. All I did was say a word and it created an image, yes or no? All I did was say a word. So a word creates a picture that we see, but watch this. A word creates a picture that we see, an emotion that we feel. Just by saying purple, what do you think? Ew, just kidding. Huskies, I'm just kidding. Hey, we got love for everybody in the Northwest, in the Pac-12. We got love for everyone. Or if I say in-laws, or if I say in sales role play, or if I say expense reports, or whatever it is, all I'm doing is saying a word, but it stores an emotion. A great book for y'all to check out is The Body Keeps the Score. The body keeps the score. Your cells have memory, Cougs. Watch this. The body produces over 300 billion cells per day. Your cells are eavesdropping on your thoughts. Your cells have memory. And the problem we have, Cougs, is we keep reliving and pre-living trauma, drama, and our fears. So we're creating these negative feelings, emotions, these neural pathways. And we're like, why do I lack motivation? Why am I not happy? Why? It's because you're in these thought traps. And you're using the wrong language to shape your beliefs. So watch this, Cougs. Language is the wardrobe of your beliefs. Language is the wardrobe of your beliefs. So I want you right now, take an audit inventory of your emails, your emojis. Do an emoji audit. Are your emojis negative? What you consume every day, that's shaping these thoughts and feelings, because your beliefs flow into your actions. Would that be true? Your beliefs flow into your actions? So when you start labeling your kids, she's a picky eater, guess what she hears? I guess I'm a picky eater, so I start acting like a picky eater. Or I always forget names, or I have a sweet tooth, or I'm not a morning person. You're commanding your subconscious and your cells to act in accordance to the words that you say. Cougs, let's go. This is where it starts. This is where everything in your life changes, when you change the words that you use. Watch this. You become what you think about most of the time, and that is the strangest secret. Well, is this random or is this by design? Does happiness just happen, or can it be trained? Cougs, what do you think? Is happiness random? Is fulfillment and impact random, or can it be trained? I know it can be trained, but most of us don't do this. We fall into these patterns of waking up, grabbing our cell phone, looking at Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, emails, negative news. It's so hard to be engaged emotionally, mentally. Yeah, gratitude is a great place to start. So what I want you to do is like, okay, just like I know I should hydrate with water, I should get my steps in, I should eat vegetables. I need to get a few minutes a day where I'm practicing these powerful, uplifting mental skills that are all evidence-based. Anybody know another entertainer here on the left with Mr. Jimmy Fallon? Anybody? Alessia Cara. And her first time on Jimmy Fallon, she's like, Jimmy, I've been here before. Jimmy's like, Alessia, we're talking about this. You're your first time guest. Like, Jimmy, I've been here before. It's like, what do you mean? Well, when I was in high school, our choir toured this floor. We toured this building. We toured your whole stage, your whole setup. And my whole class, we're all together, and they like went to the other room, other floor, and I stayed on the stage here, and I visualized myself being an artist, launching an album, performing in front of your audience, in front of millions of people on camera. Jimmy, I've sat in this chair before. And I imagine how awesome it's going to be when I'm here as an artist talking about my new song, my album. Jimmy, I've been here 1,000 times. Cougs, I'll say it again. You become what you think about most of the time. And that is the strangest secret. So do you want this to be random or by design? Write this down. By design, not by default. By design, not by default. Just like you would pre-plan your outfits and your meals, let's pre-plan what we think about and focus on and visualize. Team, does that make sense? So the mental drill would be okay, I know I'm going to face with hardships and challenges, and self-doubt is part of the game. It's real. It's how your brain's wired. But just like how, you have a junk drawer in your house. Do you have a junk drawer in your house? And you go to that junk drawer looking for a tape, scissors, pen, you can't find it, you get frustrated. Well, how often is your day like that? You want poise, you want creativity, or you want openness, or you want energy or excitement, confidence. You can't find it, you get frustrated. So all we're doing right now is we're taking out this junk drawer of a brain and organizing thoughts, visions that we know where to go when we need it. So how do we do this? How do we do this? This is how we do it. I'm going to skip this, Anna, just for time. Is we commit to stop saying negative things we can't control out loud. Your cells are listening. Your cells are listening. So that video I had was a video of, just for the sake of time, is a video of Bill Buckner, who made a really famous error in the World Series in 1986, cost him the game World Series. They got video of him 12 days earlier. He was on camera. They asked him, how do you feel about the World Series? He says, well, the nightmare is I don't want to be the guy that lets the ball go between my legs to cost us the World Series. Sometimes these things happen. It's just fate. Why would you verbalize negative stuff that you can't control? Now, here's what I'm saying. There's a term called toxic positivity. Have you heard that before? When we're up against challenging things, or our environment is unfavorable, or there's just mean people in the world, or we get a diagnosis or a lack of funding, like you have no awareness, empathy. If you say, hey, APAC, just be positive. You lost all funding. Just smile. Like, go play in traffic. What are you talking about? So I'm not saying we got to be positive. I'm just saying the data is clear. Let's just not go negative. Team, is that making sense? Let's just not zap energy and go worst case scenario, catastrophize, and focus on all the problems. For every one problem, offer 5 solutions. The research from Georgetown, Christine Porath, when we verbalize negativity, it's 4 to 7 times more powerful than positivity. So just by simply turning down the negative, we turn up the positive. It's just like treble and bass. To hear more bass, just turn down the treble. So I want you to do a negativity audit, a negativity diet. Because what you say to yourself has 10 times the power. So it's like, I ate a bag of Doritos, but I counterbalanced the Doritos by eating 7 apples. Like, wait, that's your logic? You're going to eat 7 apples to balance just don't eat the Doritos. But how come spicy hot Doritos are so good though? Maybe if you're traveling on an airplane, we'll let it slide. So all I'm saying for this is your cells are listening. Attitudes are contagious. Are you a fountain or a drain? Does the room light up or does the room light up when you enter or leave the room? Zoom or physical. It's all about the language, what we use. How you speak to people, it creates their self-image. How you speak to your kids becomes their self-talk. Who has kids? How you speak to your kids becomes their self-talk. So with the topic of self-talk, who thinks confidence is a good skill to have? Confidence. Okay. Let's do a little temperature check, pause. Let's see if we got some engagement here. Where does confidence come from? If you want to raise confident children, if you yourself want to elevate your confidence as a speaker in meetings, sharing new ideas, engaging alumni or colleagues on campus or off campus, coffee foundationally is a great place to start, 100%. Going to the Coug is another great place to start. But aside from going to the daily grind and going to the Coug, what else would be a good place to train confidence? I love it, Jenny. Servanthood. Heck yes. Well, the research shows 44,000 patients researched in the BBC lab in the UK, research led by Andrew Lane. They found that, write this down, self-talk was the #1 driver of confident action. So how do you speak to yourself? If that thought cascade is real, thought, picture, emotion, and belief, and those beliefs flow into our behaviors, how do you condition your brain on what you want to think, see, and feel? Well, here's an evidence-based system I'm going to teach you. I call it the HA method, or the 4-minute mental workout. So for 2 years, I was just reading and consuming articles, journals, videos, TED Talks, podcasts of the best in brain science. And I was like, I just want to just synthesize it into a simple system. I love the author James Clear. If you have not yet, read Atomic Habits by James Clear. Must read. He says, we don't rise to our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. So most often, mental health and well-being is all reactionary. We want to work on prehab. Mental conditioning is proactive work. So I just found these 4 things. These 4 things are the pillars of mental performance, mental conditioning, mental fitness, whatever you want to call it. So, Cougs, I want you to breathe for a minute. Just breathe. Just be here. Just breathe. Put your phone down. Turn your laptop off. Turn your screens off. And just practice stillness for 1 minute. And just use your breath as your anchor. Now, you've heard this before. This is not news, but watch this. Common sense isn't common practice. It's not. So master these fundamentals. And that slow exhale signals your subconscious you're not in danger. Are you aware that 75 to 90% of USA doctor visits are caused by stress? Are you aware that anxiety is the #1 mental health concern in adults and teens? Are you aware that 63% of US workers want to quit their job because of stress, burnout, and overwhelm? Are you aware that over 1 million Americans are missing work each day due to stress? So if we're not doing some prehab, daily maintenance, we're being negligent. Yes or no? Does it just happen, or is it by design? We were designing. Design beats willpower. So breathe. #2 is I have, which is gratitude. A lot of data on gratitude. Research out of Cal Davis, gratitude lowers cortisol by nearly 30%. It boosts your immune system. It lowers inflammation. Lowers scores of depression and anxiety. So here's my challenge with gratitude. You've heard this before, but do you do it? Don't just think it, feel it. Cougs, do we see the difference? Don't just think the thought of, man, I love a daily grind. I love Cougar Country, but I just love the feeling of my friends, of being in Pullman, and, if there's some snow in the winter or a hot August, evening in Pullman, I'm just going to I'm going to feel it in my cells. I have friends that are like family. I love being a kook. But you see the difference between thinking and feeling? Now, the next part is I am, which is affirmations, powerful self-talk. Like practice talking to yourself like a champion. Most of us focus on what we don't want, how they're not going to like me, or I'm not qualified. Research from Dr. Valerie Young shows people follow the confident person over the competent person. So before your meeting, before you give feedback to your boss, supervisor, before you share your idea, talk yourself into having a great performance. I'm trained for this. I love the research I've done. I'm qualified for this. My only job is to be authentic and present, have a growth mindset. Let's do it. Versus, I hope they like me. Hope I don't say anything stupid, That's what your brain wants you to do, is play small, play big. It starts with language. And then the last is I will, is visualize it, see it, experience it, set your intention. Go to the mind gym. Everything happens twice, first in our mind, then in real life. The brain cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. Cougs, I'll say that again. Let's go, APAC. The brain cannot tell the difference between what is real and what is imagined. Just by visualizing yourself with the thing, doing the thing that you want, you're creating a neural pathway, a mental groove that your subconscious stores by what Dr. Joe Dispenza calls a future memory. Neurons that fire together, wire together. So just like you would, get your steps in at lunch, take 3 minutes to close your eyes and visualize what you want. You start to store and become and act in the way that you think. Does that make sense? This is a picture of me at rep of the year. The average rep in Seattle is getting 5 orders per month. I do this drill every morning. In 6 months, I got 50 orders. Let's go. I'm just trying to rep the Cougs. Cougs doing big things out here. So when will you get those mental reps in? That's my question for you. Take a screenshot of this, team. I asked you earlier, what's your entertainment to education ratio? Well, man, there's things like TED Talks, YouTube, podcasts, audiobooks. Collin, I don't like to read. Well, there's an app called Audible. You should probably check it out. You can go 1.7 speed. I don't have time. We'll do 1.7 speed, get almost half the time. There's so much nuggets out there. There's so much gems to help you elevate yourself if you're willing to do the work. Okay, wrapping up. I got 7 minutes. Are we having fun? Has this been the fastest 60 minutes of a Zoom you've ever experienced? No? Okay, hopefully. Or like, man, when is this guy gonna shut up? Just kidding. Okay. Cougs, how many of the letter F can you find in the sentence? Don't count the yellow lines where it says finish files. How many of the letter F as in Frank can you find? 10 seconds, ready, set, go. Good job, Deborah, killing it. Good job, Chris. Actually, the answer is 6. Maybe you missed the ofs. Yeah, or scientific there. So when we look at, now we're looking at courage. When we're in these fear-based moments, this self-doubt moment, we hyper-focus on what's wrong. Does that make sense? We can't see the whole picture. So a powerful thing when you feel your emotions, like, well, what is this teaching me? What is this emotion telling me? There's gold in there. There's power in the pause. I need to see the whole picture. And we need to reframe how we see fear. I want you to write down no fear in your notes. Write down no fear. The problem is most people write N-O fear, but I want us to K-N-O-W fear. Growth and comfort zones cannot coexist. Therefore, if we don't feel a little nervous, a little scared, we're not growing. Cougs, does this make sense logically? You can't grow unless you feel a little bit of discomfort. So fear by definition is a physical response to a mental threat. A lot of us think that because my heart's beating, I have, sweat coming out of every orifice, palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, vomit on his sweater, already mom spaghetti, he's nervous. On the surface, he looks calm and ready to drop bombs, but he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. You see, B Rabbit, Eminem, Marshall Mathers knew the lyrics, but the moment got too big and he sabotaged the moment because of fear, because of his thoughts. He sabotaged himself. Even though he had the talent, he had the skill, he knew the content, he had FOPO. What do people think about this? So Maya Angelou says courage is the most important of all the virtues. You can't practice courage without fear. So this is you thinking about them. This is what's actually happening. So the next time you're about to do something, just say it's not about me. This is that 80% negative thoughts that are trying to stop me. It's actually, people are not obsessing what I'm doing. They're worried about how they look. Isn't this kind of a freeing feeling? So step one is, it's not all about me. Then these next steps I want us to look at is to be a bison. As much as I love cougs, I love bison because when there's a storm, cows or cattle, they either lie down or run away. Bison can sense a storm. They go shoulder to shoulder with their herd and they run right towards the storm. The longer you add weight to that fear, the worse it gets. Does that make sense? So when you're struggling, ask for help. Talk to somebody. Don't hide it. Don't run away. Talk to somebody. Face it. Step two, I learned this from Sarah Blakely. She's the founder of Spanx, worth billions. They asked her, how'd you build your company? She said, it was shaped by a question my dad asked me after school. My brother, he asked us, did you fail today? What questions do we ask our kids? What'd you learn? Did you do lunch? No, he asked, did I fail? And if we didn't fail, he was sad because we weren't trying new things. It's like, I'm not afraid to fail. How many times do you not take action because you're afraid to fail? Failure is progress in disguise. And number three, from Nelson Mandela, he says, I never lose. I either win or I learn. That's how we get better. So the last thing I want to teach you is to press the reset button. When you notice doubt, worry, fear, have a reset strategy. So I want you to have a reset word, a reset phrase. That's me playing against Ohio State for the Cougs. My reset was, I would say, ITM, which was short for I'm the man, because I struggled early on in my career. And I just came up with this silly phrase, and that's why I told myself to quiet the noise. I'm the man. My new reset phrase, I say, I'm not defined by this. Write those 5 words down. These 5 words will change your life. I'm not defined by this. Who says what you do defines who you are? That's a lie. For Team USA gymnast Laura Hernandez, she'd take a slow, deep breath and say, I got this. Then have a physical routine. Use your motion to change your emotion. Use your physiology to change your psychology. Then have a reset visual, something you look at. So change what you think, have a word or a phrase. Use your body. Go check the mail. Get up out your desk. Don't respond out of fear or anger. Create some space. But have a reset visual to reshift your focus back to what's most important. Team, this may sound crazy. I used to stutter as a kid. And I had so much fear of public speaking as I changed schools in 6th grade and I got stuck on a word and I just stored that fear. And I had a rough time for a lot of my life. As a young adult, I couldn't sometimes say my own name, couldn't order food through a drive-through, but years of speech therapy and Toastmasters. And so doing all these virtual stuff, when COVID hit, I was super nervous, but I would write 2437 on my forearm as a reset reminder. 24 is for Kobe Bryant, no longer here, father of 5. 37 is for my Cougar brother, Steve Gleason, who has ALS. So I would look at this number 37 to say, if Steve can still serve with ALS, I can still do it. Let's go. It's not about me. And that's my reset. Do you have a reset? So, Cougs, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. So what's something you've been avoiding or delaying due to fear? Ask someone. Ask for help. Take one small step. Have a reset plan. Change how you talk to yourself. And good things will come. Well, team, we got it done. Let's go. Okay. Top of the hour. I'd love for you, as we conclude, what's your biggest takeaway today? And feel free to jump off. I know we got different things to do, different conference calls and Zoom calls and meetings. So, but I'll hang out for a few minutes. But I'd love for in the chat, biggest takeaway, what you commit to do. So, hey, know this truth, squad, Cougs. The body has limits, but the mind is limitless. You are limitless. Let's start changing how we talk to ourselves. changing what we verbalize. Look at fear as an opportunity for growth, to serve, to get better. Let's go. I'm fired up. Spencer, any lasting comments?
No, that was phenomenal, encouraging. That was great. Lots of takeaways there. Lots of things written down. So, Collin, thank you so much. Glad we were able to get a Coug out here. Glad he got to enjoy calling Cougs all day. We appreciate your time, and thank you everyone for being here today. Tomorrow, 11 a.m., we have our next in the speaker series with Sky from the Spokane campus on resilient Coug, so along the same lines, but